channel. So just want to announce, taking more payouts. Took and requested $1,000 payout, and before that a $1,200 payout. And it made me actually think. I'm putting together these questions, and these are questions that for any of you guys that haven't been profitable or taking a payout, or going through struggles, this is definitely for you. So make sure you guys watch this video to the end, because I do answer the questions that I think we all ask ourselves when dealing with this crazy market. So question number one is like, why haven't you taken a payout yet, and what's actually stopping you? For me, the main reason to why I didn't take out a payout is because I wanted more, right? I always want more, and I think a lot of us want more. But when you look at it of how much money have I spent and invested into learning and practicing and trying to fund my account and passive and express account, I was like, it just takes it makes more sense. Just take the payout to get back to break even. And so that's going to be a lot of my focus going forward is just, taking payouts when you see payouts, right? I hear a lot of big traders say when you're profitable, see profit, take profit. And so that's going to be the goal going forward. Question number two is what finally helped me go from red months to withdrawing $2,200 in payouts? Honestly, it's, and I can kind of show you guys this, right? For the most part, it's really charting. And I think that's been the biggest thing is charting and risking less. I'm using bigger time frames. So I'm using monthly levels, I'm using weekly levels. I'm then reverse engineering it and going down to smaller time frames, right? So dailies, 4 hours, right, to catch bigger moves. If you're doing this, right, here's a perfect example right here. There's an order block right here. This is Tesla, right? But you can do the same thing on NQ and ES and gold. But I'm basically using bigger time frames and trading smaller time frames underneath it, and I'm also risking less, right? With how volatile the market's been, it's been easier to trade MNQ or MES. So that's what's working for me, right? So it's bigger time frame trading, waiting for it to get to certain levels, and then from that point on, you're also risking less with trading micros. All right. Question number three is what mistakes was I making that delayed my first trading payout? Answer for that one is going to be just not taking payout. I think it's crucial that if you see profit, take it, right? If those of you guys are doing Topstep or other combines, right? If you see profit, just take it, right? And you start to build back some of the money you've spent, right? And so to me, that was what was stopping me. And if I'm being honest, right, greed stops us, right? We all want more. We want to make, we want to turn $49 or $150 into, $10,000. When in actuality, if you take just small payouts, right, of 1,200, 500, it starts to add up. Okay. Next question is basically, are you trading to impress or actually get paid? Right. I think a lot of us are in that line of like, I'm trying to build my account. I'm trying to impress. Like, just at the whole goal of this is, once again, getting funded and making real money, making real actual money that gets deposited into your account. And so now for me personally, it was about just building my account, but now it's really about just taking profit from it, right? If you can take profit, let's say it costs you $500 to with combines and resets and stuff like that, and you make $1,000, right? You don't have to wait till you make 2,500. Just take that payout, right? And all of a sudden you're broken even. And so that's going to be my focus going forward. Is just more of like, don't worry about impressing or trying to grow these massive accounts. Let's just focus on making money, right? Making real money that you can actually use for livelihood, like rent, mortgage, kids, family, right? Or just spend money. Okay. What changed in my strategy that made consistent withdrawals possible? I mentioned this earlier. I think going down to a larger time frame. So if I use NQ right here, this is a good example. Or if I use NQ right here and I just, for example, mark off certain levels, right? So this is more of a monthly order block right here I have. And then from there, I switch down to a weekly level. So you can even see here, if weekly up there, monthly down here. And then from there, you can switch down to like a 4 hour level, right? You can really switch down from a 4 hour level here. I am big on using anchors, right? So, hypothetically, if you would have used an anchor to the downside to like follow trends, right? This right here on NQ, even though we've been very volatile right here, is about 1,000 points. Right, this happened overnight. We then pushed up to the same area, and then we had another 7 point move. And so, if you can identify the trend and understand that, that goes a long way. And then once again, trading micros. Trading micros helps because now you're risking a little bit more. You can risk $100, $200 and like be able to catch bigger moves. All right. And then once again, going back to it is if you see profit, take profit. or you don't have to be greedy. You don't have to grow these accounts to, $20,000. Like if you have not been profitable, and this is the main thing, is like if you have not been profitable, focus on being profitable and taking money, getting your first payout. All right. Um, are you really profitable? This is another question. Are you really profitable if you never withdraw your profits? Technically, the answer is no, right? There are a bunch of you that suggested and recommended, like, once again, taking payouts. And I had taken payouts beforehand, so I am profitable in that sense. But ideally, if you have an Express account, until you actually, make your withdrawals, you're not profitable, right? And so you want to make sure that you're making withdrawals, waiting, and not trading those accounts when the money's being transferred out. Because that was something I learned too, is from experiences. Once the money is en route to your account, don't even trade that account because Topstep, send you another message too as well. So you want to make sure that you guys are at the end of the day waiting and then trading another account or doing options. Okay. Next one. How did I stop over trading and finally start taking money out? Same thing. Once again, trying to be more patient, trying to identify the trends on the bigger time frames, and even like this, we had a push up last week. I'm still potentially thinking that we could continue our way down. So just being a little bit more patient, risking less, working with the micros, that goes a long way. And then once again, if you see profit, take it. Don't be afraid to take profit. No minimum is too small. Let me just say that, right? No amount of money is too small. And so if you can start to just take profit, you start to kind of build back a lot of the money that you guys have spent. And it's a good feeling because you're like, okay, I did it, right? It is actual real money. It's not just a simulated account. And then psychologically, that was going to motivate you guys to actually trade better. All right. And I want to go to like kind of some of the things I'm going to be focusing on too. So like going forward, I'm just going to be focused on taking profit, faster, right? If I see it, 500, 1,000, 2,000, whatever case is, just take it, right? You can always take $1,000, and then out of that $1,000, you now use the $50 to start a new account. But you've taken the $1,000 and you're taking profit to now reinvest. Okay. Another thing that's helped is just the top-down analysis, going from bigger time frames. Taking your time to go through bigger time frames for the month, right? Mainly the month and also the week. So for me, I'm using templates that I've kind of created to kind of mark off these key areas. And then all I'm doing from that point on is like once I have like my monthly levels marked, right? Let's move this down here. Once I have my monthly levels marked, then from that point on, you can kind of manipulate it however you need to. So if I did that on a monthly, right? And then I can, even if I want to, I can go down to the, daily and anchor certain things, right? And then from that point on, you can create now, if you wanted to, you can create different levels on the daily, all right. So that way you can kind of see like where are we heading back to, right? Once we make these different small responses, right? And so this is probably going to be our target at some point, and we can either continue up, or from here, if I want to short, then I can continue down, right, to the downside, right? And so that's all I'm doing, big picture wise, is I'm just top down analysis, risking less, and then trading on smaller time frames in between, so that way you can catch bigger moves. Okay. Hopefully that helps, and then that answers questions. Um, what new rules am I using to protect gains and also stay funded? Same thing is risking less, right? If you can trade the micros, right? You have gold, you have ES, you have NQ that do really well. If you can do that and also risk $100, if you take one trade or two trades at max, you're losing $200 in that day and live to fight for another day. So that helps. Okay. Locking yourself out goes a long way too, right? If you're up, even if it's $50, right, $100, especially with how the market's been very volatile, you can lock yourself out and still be really, really profitable. All right. Last question, just because I know this is fairly a long one, is how do 500 to $1,000 weeks lead to real income fast? I think the focus shouldn't even be 500 to $100 or $1,000 weeks. I think we should just focus on being more profitable. And what I mean by that is that if it's 50 to $100 days, right? Then that turns into, like I said, 400, $500 weeks. From that point on, if you want, you can withdraw half, right? And you have now a $200 per week, and now you're netting $800, right? Which goes a long way. But it just helps. I think the biggest change that everyone needs to focus on is just being more intentional with taking your profit. If you can be more intentional with taking your profit, one, it's going to be mentally rewarding for us, but also two, like you're gonna be motivated to just keep going. Okay, so hopefully this helps. Yes, at the end of the day, this is pretty cool to say, okay, cool. Like we have payouts and payouts are coming. But ultimately at the end of the day, it's really about just being more disciplined, risking less. And I mean, once again, we had a very volatile couple of weeks, right? I mean, this day alone, in we dumped, and this day alone we rallied up 2,000 points. And that's, I mean, it's crazy. That it's not normal. And so the market is being manipulated a little bit, but at the end of the day, if you can manage your risk and not get caught up in all this, chop back and forth, and then also live to fight another day or another week, high chances that you're going to be profitable. All right. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Hopefully that helps. To those of you guys that may be struggling or haven't had a payout, be patient with it. If you guys need any help or have any questions, feel free to ask me too as well. But I highly recommend top-down analysis, trading on smaller time frames, and then from that point on, risking less. Focus on micros, focus on the MESs, the MNQs, and also the golds. And once again, if you see profit, it's okay to take profit. I'm giving you permission. People give me permission, right, to take profit. All right, so that way you can start to kind of recoup the money that you have spent. All right, hopefully that helps, and see you guys in the next video.